Hi, my name is Kristen Donahoe, and I'm the THON 2025 Alumni Engagement Director.
Hi, my name is Ashley Poskett, and I'm the THON 2025 Alumni Campaigns Coordinator.
Hi, I'm Julia Scripp, and I'm the THON 2025 Alumni Communications Coordinator.
And we want to welcome you to the THONcast Beyond the 46 Hours, a podcast new to the THON community. If you're not familiar with THON, THON is a student-run philanthropy committed to enhancing the lives of children and families impacted by childhood cancer, with our mission to provide emotional and financial support, spread awareness, and ensure funding for critical research, all in pursuit of a cure. THON is the largest student-run philanthropy in the world, with 16,500 student volunteers, over 400 organizations involved, and 25,000 alumni supporters benefiting our mission.
Throughout the year, THON holds various events like the THON 5K, 100 Days Till THON, and Family Carnival. All of these events lead to THON Weekend, a 46-hour, no-sitting, no-sleeping dance marathon.
In the THONcast, we will be covering various topics surrounding THON to give you a behind-the-scenes look on all the amazing aspects of THON. During the episode, we will be going further into the history of THON and how the organization grew to be what it is today, along with information about our sole beneficiary, Four Diamonds, and all that they do to support children and families impacted by childhood cancer. Along with that, we will be hearing from 3 guest speakers, Stacy Bingler-Forbes, Stacia Millard Bird, and Suzanne Graney, to give us further insights on THON and Four Diamonds.
We want to start with the founding of the Penn State Dance Marathon, now commonly known as THON. In 1973, former IFC president Bill Lear proposed the idea of a dance marathon to raise money for a worthwhile cause. That year, the first THON was held. THON was originally held in Penn State's Hub Ballroom with 78 dancers participating. The dance marathon lasted 30 hours and raised over $2,000. The following year, 1974, the dance marathon was lengthened to a 48-hour event. In 1976, THON introduced its first theme, Dance for Those Who Can't. Since then, there has been a new theme each year.
A fun fact about earlier THONs was that during the dance marathon, dancers were physically dancing for the whole duration of the event in a competition-based style, seeing what couple could raise the most money while dancing for the longest. In 1977, we officially paired with our now sole beneficiary, Four Diamonds at Penn State Health Children's Hospital, that year raising $28,685. The story of the Four Diamonds starts in 1969 when 11-year-old Christopher Millard was first diagnosed with cancer. Christopher's father, Charles Millard, founded Four Diamonds in honor of his son. Four Diamonds was founded to assist children and families in the fight against childhood cancer. Four Diamonds lets Christopher's legendary story live on and serve as an inspiration for children and families fighting this battle.
From there, THON continued to grow. In 1979, THON made its first big move to the Mary Beaver White Building to accommodate increasing capacity demands. This year was also the year it became a shared goal to stand the duration of the event instead of a competition. In 1983, THON hit 6 figures for the first time, raising over $131,000. In 1984, THON was noted for being the largest philanthropy of its kind, something we are proud to say is still true. 1992 was a monumental year for THON, as it was the first time we raised over $1 million.
Throughout the years, THON has had an incredible set of leaders contributing to the magic that this organization has become today. Today, we want to highlight a notable leader, Stacy Bingler-Forbes, the THON 1995 overall chair. She was also the very first female overall chair or executive director. With that being said, please welcome our first guest today, Stacy Bingler-Forbes.
Hi, Stacy. Would you like to start off just by introducing yourself, what you're up to now, as well as your THON experience?
Sure. My name is Stacy Bingler-Forbes. I was I guess you call it executive director now of THON back in 1995. I was the social chair the year before that, which is now hospitality. And before that, I did, what did I do? Social committee, and I was on morale committee my freshman year. I also danced in THON in 2000. When I was organizing THON, it was in White Building. And then in 2000, when I danced the first time, it was at Rec Hall. And then I danced again in 2013, I think it was. And that was in BJC. So it was pretty cool to see all of those different things. I also did Hope Express 1 year and then Hope Express Extreme 3 times. And I also was involved with DMAG for many, many years. I was president at one point and a bunch of other positions with that. So that's kind of my THON involvement. I now live in Colorado. I've got 3 kiddos. And yeah, Colorado's been great. I did investment banking for about 10 years out of school. And then I worked in the elementary schools out here in Colorado. And now I'm just home having fun with the dog. So it's snowing a lot today. It's always snowing out here, which is fun. I like to ski and hike and bike and all that fun stuff. So Colorado's been great.
That's incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, so another thing we wanted to hear about was what was it like being an overall chair for THON 1995?
Well, I mean, it was different than it is now. Our committee was much smaller. I think we only had 10, and 2 of those were the AVPs for IFC and Panhellenic. And obviously in white building, we had to have less dancer couples. It was getting to the point where we were maxed out and we knew we were going to have to move. So we had started planning for that. In 95, we started in 94 with pledge books, and we would go door to door and do pledges. And obviously now you guys do all that stuff online. We didn't have internet when I was in school. So obviously communication was very different. We started the communication committee my senior year. It used to be called ICC, which was kind of a catch-all committee. But we realized communication was going to be a big part of our effort and our fundraising. I mean, the core of THON is obviously still the same for the kids and the relationships that you have with the Four Diamonds families, as well as amongst the organizations that all fundraise together. We did have some independent groups that were coming in, although the Greek community was still, probably the majority. So that was a little bit different. It definitely still had the same vibe when I go back now. It's, just the feeling of being there and how special it is to be a part of it. And so that obviously has not changed.
Yeah. When was it the last THON you attended in person?
So right when I graduated, I was working in New York City and New Jersey. So I was there those couple of years. And then I danced, like I said, in 2000. I moved out to Colorado in 1998. And there was a couple of years in there where I didn't get to come back because I was having kids. And then when I was doing GMAIG and Hope Express and all that stuff, I was there a lot. And then, like I said, I danced in 2013. I feel like the last couple of years, I probably haven't been back in about 5 or 6 years now, just because my kids' sports schedules got a little ridiculously crazy. And I have wrestlers and swimmers, and state and nationals and conference is all February, March THON weekend every year. So I've had to unfortunately miss just because I didn't want to miss that. But I'm hoping to get back this year because it's our committee's 30th anniversary, and everybody's hoping to get back for that.
Oh, that's incredible. And I guess going off of that too, do you have like a favorite new addition or additions to THON since you were involved?
I don't know. I mean, the celebrity bands that are always a surprise that open up are pretty fun.
Oh, yes, for sure.
I like to see that. Our line dances were a little less involved. They're very long now. That's kind of cool that you guys do. Obviously, there's a lot more alumni engagement. I don't know. Favorite new thing, though. Like I said, at the core of it, it's pretty similar to what it was. So obviously Family Hour on Sundays is always my favorite time, and that last hour of THON. But that was still the case when I was there as well.
That's awesome. And also, going off of one of your favorite things, what would you say is your favorite THON memory?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard.
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many. I mean, I would honestly have to say that it's not necessarily a specific thing at THON, but just all the people that I know because of THON. Like, that's what's so special to me, because the bonds that you form with these people, like, I'm out of school, I graduated in 95, so 30 years. And these people that I've been on committees with, and, Four Diamonds families, and our Four Diamonds child, who's now in her 30s, and has her own kids, like, those relationships have been so special to me in my life. And they're lifelong. It's a bond that never goes away. So that's probably my favorite thing about THON. Obviously, my favorite thing would be to not have THON anymore if we could cure cancer. And that's obviously the goal.
Yeah, and then one of our last questions we were really wondering is, do you have a favorite THON theme? And then what was the theme when you were executive director in 1995?
Let's see. I have all my mugs and everything. My junior year, I think it was Growing Stronger Together. And I remember back then, Rick Funk was the advisor. And we would go down to Hershey for our retreat, and he wouldn't let us come back to campus unless we picked the theme. So I remember standing out in the cold on the side of the highway for hours trying to figure out what the theme was going to be. And then my senior year, it was Giving Dreams a Chance.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I always loved to waiting for, because we'd come up with the theme and then to see what the graphic design kids would come up with for the logo and how they would represent it. That's one of my favorite things, to be honest. We didn't have the 5K or the Thon Carnival or any of those things back then. So now having those milestones where when the theme's going to be released and then the logo comes out and everything, I think that's super fun. But I love every year that it comes out, I just think it's so great how they keep coming up with different themes that still represent hope for the future. So I don't necessarily have a favorite one, but.
Yeah, no, they're all so beautiful. This year it's a Home for Hope, which we're super excited. I think logo reveal's coming up soon here on December 8th, which is so exciting. We can't wait to see it and see what the design students come up with.
Yeah, and we really want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us today. We appreciate you giving some insight about the past-a-thon and even what your Thon experience was in general. To us, we really appreciate it all, and thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so kind, and thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. You're amazing, and we are so inspired by you.
We really are.
Absolutely, girls. Good luck with everything this year, and hopefully I'll see you at Thon.
Thank you, Stacy, for giving us further information and insights into the past of Thon. Now let's dive back into some history. In 1997, Thon had its first family carnival, an event that gives our families a taste of Thon weekend where volunteers prepare crafts and games for our families to interact with. 1998 was the first year Thon had worldwide access through a live stream and the creation of Thon.org. Thon Weekend moved locations again in 1999 to Rec Hall as the dance marathon continued to grow.
In 2002, Thon held its first Thon 5K, which is one of the first Thon events that occurs each year. And 2007 was a major year with many advancements within Thon. That year, Thon made another major move to the BJC, where the dance marathon currently resides. Along with that, Thon went from 48 hours to 46 hours as we know it now. And in 2022, Thon held its 50th Thon weekend.
After all this history, you may be wondering where we're at now. Since the start of the organization, we have raised $236 million and $16,955,683.63 this past year alone. We have had 23 5Ks, 27 family carnivals, and 52 Thon weekends and counting.
Each year, around 90 new families receive support from Four Diamonds, and they have supported over 4,800 families since they were founded. As the years have gone on, the organization has continued to grow in many ways. We have increased the amount of support worldwide, the size of Thon Weekend itself, and the amount of money we raise for Four Diamonds each year.
One thing we have not yet touched on is the story behind the Four Diamonds. Christopher Millard wrote a story about a great knight who was battling to be released from the grips of an evil sorceress. To be released, the knight sought out the Four Diamonds of courage, honesty, wisdom, and strength. This story is a symbolic representation of Christopher's journey with childhood cancer. This is how the name Four Diamonds came to be, and those Four Diamonds are the pillars of this organization. Four Diamonds has grown and evolved since its creation in 1972 to become the organization we now know it to be today. Four Diamonds is Thon's sole beneficiary, where 96% of funds raised directly support children and families impacted by childhood cancer.
Four Diamonds covers 100% of all medical expenses related to cancer care not covered by insurance for eligible Four Diamonds children. Because of Thon's community's consistent passion and generous support, Four Diamonds has assisted 100% of childhood cancer patients who have been treated at Penn State Health Children's Hospital. Four Diamonds supports top-tier research and services ensuring the mental, emotional, and physical well-being of Four Diamonds children. This includes child life specialists, a child psychologist, genetic counselors, art and music therapists, a nutritionist, a chaplain, and that is just to name a few of them. We are now excited to welcome our next guest to share more information about Four Diamonds and the story behind this organization. Please welcome the Sister or Christopher Millard, Stacia Millard Bird, and the Executive Director of Four Diamonds, Suzanne Graney. Stacia and Suzanne, welcome to the THONcast. And first thing we would like to ask you is to give us a little bit of information about yourselves.
Do you want to start, Stace?
Sure, I can go first. Hi, I'm Stacia Millard Bird, and I'm coming to you live from the Pacific Northwest. I do not live on the East Coast anymore, but I am the daughter of Charles and Irma Millard and Chris's sister. So I am of the Millard family and here to share what I can about the story for you.
Awesome, thank you. And then Suzanne?
Hi, I'm Suzanne Graney. I have the awesome responsibility and opportunity to lead the Four Diamonds team. And I am coming to you from Hershey, Pennsylvania.
So one of the first things that we would like to ask is, what is one thing that Four Diamonds does for the children and families? Give us more of a little bit of a background on what Four Diamonds does for the children and families.
Sure. Four Diamonds was set up to make sure that children who are coming to Penn State Health Children's Hospital with a cancer diagnosis that live in Pennsylvania have an opportunity to receive whatever care is needed without worrying about a bill. So that is the very first thing that we take care of every year with the dollars that are raised from THON and from other sources, is making sure that those children have exactly what they need when they need it to be as successful as possible as they are fighting their cancer. And we are making sure that we have specialty care providers that are also able to assist those children and their families. So we are making sure that we have all of the tools and resources in place, the most leading edge ways to treat childhood cancer possible, available to those children, and making sure that we are recognizing cancer affects everybody in the family, not just the child, but their siblings and their parents and their extended family. And we have programs to make sure that everybody is being taken care of as they're going through this process. And then we are able to invest other dollars into research, which is really exciting because our mission is to conquer childhood cancer. So we know that the best care in the world doesn't do that yet. We still have children who are not able to survive past a 5-year mark. And our goal is for every child to be able to survive past their diagnosis and their treatment of cancer and to be able to thrive into the future.
Let me just add on the inspiration for this for my parents when they started this years and years ago is because they were treated like this through the Jimmy Fund up in Boston. Chris had gone up there for treatment at the Boston Children's Hospital, and they got financial support like that. And so that was their experience was, we need this back in Pennsylvania. We need something that we can continue doing something like that for other people in that area. So that was one of the inspirations for it. And then also, just as you were saying, Suzanne, the survival rate, that's something that's shifted a lot since 1972, right? When Chris died. His particular cancer, for example, rhabdomyosarcoma, correct me if I'm wrong, Suzanne, but I think it's flipped. When he had it, it was a 20% survival rate. And now it's an 80% survival rate. So everything that's happened over the 50 plus years is going in the right direction. So,
yeah, and the fact that that statistic changed really is due to research. So cumulative knowledge, we learn something new ways to treat, new drug combinations, and our goal is that every cancer would have that opportunity to find the way to treat it that leads us to 100% success rate.
Yeah, and something so amazing that I know we were talking about in our meeting last night was how all of the research done through Four Diamonds and at Penn State Health Children's Hospital, a lot of it is able to be shared
across the country for other hospitals to benefit from when treating patients with childhood cancer, which is just so amazing to see just the impact that this organization has, not only on our Four Diamonds families, but on families impacted by childhood cancer everywhere.
Yeah, THON came up with a phrase several years ago about local research, global impact, and it's such a succinct way to describe what's happening here because the dollars that you're raising and that our scientists and physicians are using to discover more, they're able to share through research consortiums that Penn State belongs to, and also to share at educational forums and conferences and symposiums with other oncologists and other researchers across the country. So we really do all learn from each other. And what we learned here in Hershey is able to be shared broadly with others around the country, around the world to help kids everywhere.
Yeah, it's incredible to hear. And I know touched on it a little bit, but we would also love to hear more about the background of Four Diamonds.
The background as in how it all started from the story?
Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about your brother and anything you remember of your parents beginning it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the story, this is, the story, right? This is the little story, was a high school assignment for him. So he was about 13, maybe a sophomore, Suzanne, maybe he was something like that. I think he was a sophomore or junior in high school at Elizabethtown. And I was 3 years younger, so I was just a pipsqueak back then. And but the assignment was to write an autobiography, and he didn't want to do that. He went to the teacher and said, because he'd been sick for the last 2 years, I really don't want to write an autobiography. Can I do something else? She said, do whatever you want. That's fine. And so he was a big King Arthur fan and that kind of stuff, of course, dragons. So he was inspired by that and ended up writing the Four Diamonds story, which I'm sure you're familiar. If you aren't, make sure you look it up. It's on the Four Diamonds website. You can read it there. And as you read the story, not only is it like incredible that a 13-year-old can come up with a structure like that around courage, wisdom, honesty, and strength, right? That's like pillars to live by for anybody, right? But he ended up crafting it in such a way in this, like old style and King Arthur, approach, being one of the forgotten knights of the Round Table. As the character, as an autobiography in a way, right? Like the Tree of Life is representative of my mom. I'm the Stacia Swan, right? The Diamond of Wisdom. And my dad was Charles the Mysterious, right? All the pieces. So in a way, he did do the assignment, but in such a descriptive and incredible way. So the story was written, and you've seen that in the notes from the teacher of how he'd make a great writer one day, and then he wrote a lot of different things. He had a lot of different short stories and things like that. And then after he had died, my parents asked for, in lieu of flowers, to make a donation to
a memorial fund. Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a name, right? Mm-hmm. What'd you say, Suzanne?
A memorial fund.
A memorial fund, right? Instead, and then the man who was working at the time, I guess in an equivalent job to yours, right, Suzanne, they kind of took all his writings, said, let me look at what he had and what he had written, and this one, of course, stuck out the most as, wow, this makes sense, and that's where the Four Diamonds name was born.
And I remember hearing your dad tell the story that, upon reflection, they really thought that this was representative of how Chris was viewing his cancer fight and what he needed to find these particular characteristics within himself.
Yeah. Pretty amazing. Amazing.
Remember the first time I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe a 13-year-old wrote this. It is just so complex, so detailed. I was when I was 13, I knew I could never write anything like that, but it was just incredible to see.
Yeah, he was definitely wise beyond his years, for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. And just to see, like just how the journey's gone, like, on the Zoom today with you people, and Suzanne meeting you however many years ago, all the different folks and the jobs and, all the people involved. It's pretty incredible that it was a driving force to, unite, bring people together for a cause. So
it's special. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Stace, you and I know your husband and I have talked during like the moments of THON. There have been just profound moments of gratitude, of thinking, my gosh, there's like 8 billion people in the world. How did I get to be the one that gets to do this?
Yeah.
How do we get to be the ones that are here, making this magic, experiencing that magic, and knowing that we're making such a substantial contribution to the health of children, both right now, the kids who are fighting right now, and the kids that might encounter this in the future.
Yeah, it truly is amazing. It is.
It's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet. But it's
in the best way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but it's like truly incredible to see like everything Four Diamonds does for the kids and just like the true impact it has on the families. And we also want to hear more about maybe some of the work that you guys do within Four Diamonds, and also just in general, maybe some of the impacts that some people may not see that Four Diamonds actually does for those children and families.
Yeah, and like also like if you could give us like a day in and day out of like what your daily lives look like with Four Diamonds, that'd be amazing.
Exactly.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I think is the perception is that we're with our families all the time. But our interactions are just as special as the interactions that THON students are having with families, because we don't see them day in and day out. We are in an office close to the hospital, but not in the hospital. And, we get an opportunity to meet our families and learn their stories. And part of that is in the work that we're doing, just like what THON is doing in raising awareness, raising dollars. Those stories and their willingness to share that are so compelling. So part of our day could be about interacting with a family, or it could be interacting with a graphic designer, or it might be talking with an individual donor or a corporate donor about how they would like to be part of what we do. Some of it is how do you build a team and keep a team focused on strategic priorities? And how do you work with an advisory board? So Stacia serves on the advisory board with us. And what are the things that are important to that particular group of volunteers, and how to maximize their talents and connections within the community to further expand? I would say, like, in general, if you had to like really say what do we do, I think of my role really as being like the person who invites people in, putting my arms wide open and saying all are welcome, and how do we find the spot that allows somebody to fulfill what they want to do to help, whether it is that they want to make a contribution or they want to help maximize exposure, or tell a story for us, or host a mini-thon for us, or a community event, or how can they dovetail their business into what THON is doing, or as an individual, how do they want to make a significant contribution by however they define that significant contribution to be. And then pieces of our process, so I'm in touch with the physicians on a pretty regular basis. What's new there? What's happening in the hospital? Who is benefiting from what areas of care? So what, do we have some new staff members, getting to know them, learning what's new and different in survivorship, or what's new and different in music therapy or art therapy or psychosocial services, and how do we all work together? The other piece that is probably pretty indicative of what our team does is we connect the dots for people. So how do we connect the right groups to each other so that everybody can do their part the best that they can to help all of these kids.
Yeah, for sure. And Stacia, what does your role look like on the advisory board for Four Diamonds?
That's my role. I'm like representing the family. I'm like the family connection. So just, glad to be able to be on there and hear what's happening and going on and contribute where I can. Also, not only financially, but, come to the Mini THON Leadership Summit. I come to THON every year now. My dad passed away. It's 3 years, November 4th. So, probably for 10 years up to that point, I was also joining him every year at THON. So and he never missed one, by the way. How many did he go to, Suzanne? I think it was 47.
I think it was 47.
I know. And I was really looking forward to the 50th year anniversary, and it was just in a few months. So
I think he did, yeah.
I know. I know. It was really sad for that. But, I proudly represent the Millard family and the legacy, and will be coming there as long as I can too. So,
yes. And I know you were talking about your father, and something reminded me a quote that we both, I think, really live by THON weekend. I know it was like I posted it on my Instagram, and like the caption I had of like all the photos from THON weekend. We do things for ourselves, they die with us. We do things for humanity, they live on forever. And I just think you two are like such great examples of just like what you do for humanity is amazing, and like you inspire us all so much. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, my dad loved quotes. He loved, and that was a re-quote, right? That was not his own, but he liked to quote that one a lot. And but it's reciprocal, you guys. I mean, that's great that we inspire you, but man, you guys and what everybody's doing from mini THON all the way up to the big THON is just incredible. It just is. And when you come into that space, and just, I know it's an all year long thing. Y'all are working together, no matter what other beliefs you have. You're all unified around one thing, and that is beautiful. So thank you.
I would agree. It's sweet for you to say that, what we're doing is inspiring, but what you're doing inspires us on the regular. Absolutely. The fact that you're willing to give your time and your talents and your personal treasure to help THON be successful, which helps Four Diamonds be successful, which helps these kids to be able to have an opportunity to thrive.
It's fantastic. We can't thank you enough.
Like you said, THON brings people together more than I think people outside the organization would ever realize. And it really is just like one of the best things I feel like we have realized being involved in being at Penn State, and just one of the best organizations really in the world. It truly is.
Yeah. Yes, we can talk about
it. Really is. It's special.
Well,
yes,
it definitely is. It definitely is.
And
it's a treasure.
Yeah, wouldn't be a THON podcast if we didn't ask you what your favorite THON memory is, or memories, because I know that can be a really hard question just to pick one.
I've been asked this so many times. I have my answer, and it goes back to my very first THON in this role. I had seen THON as a student. I had come back and visited and seen it before I stepped into this role. But my first year in this role, coming to THON was like intimidating. Like, oh, wow, what is going to happen? And, I kept watching what was going on within the Bryce Jordan Center. And there was one group of students that kept holding up a giraffe, this blown up giraffe. And all weekend I kept asking, like, what's the deal with the giraffe? I don't understand why this giraffe. And I finally, towards the last day, got close enough to that group to be able to ask them directly, what is this giraffe about? And they shared that they were paired with a particular family. And I had happened to meet this young lady, and she died a couple of weeks before THON. And that was my first interaction with a patient death and a bereaved family. But it really hit home to me because they kept that giraffe in the air the whole time. And they said this was her favorite animal. So she's here with us. Yeah. And and teared up because it was so beautiful to see the relationship between this student organization and this family and how real that connection was, and that they were honoring her. And without a doubt, that was like one of those snapshots of time that I'm like, oh, this is such a profoundly loving and hopeful and kind environment that students are creating here, that without a doubt sticks out as my favorite memory.
That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You all created it.
I don't think I can narrow it to just one, but probably my favorite part was seeing my dad down on the floor when he would walk amongst the dancers and everything, and just what a rock star he was when he was there. And it was so great to see, even though he was an old man and young people, it just, crossed the divide. They just loved him and he loved them and you all. And he literally spent his, the last 10, 15 years, it was THON that kept him going. We used to say, THON has breathed life into the Four Diamonds. And I think it breathed life into my dad for a long time. It was his sole purpose to get to THON and see this magic every time. So being able to be part of that and kind of be his security as he was going through the crowds, and everybody's like, oh, Mr. Millard, Mr. Millard, and want to take a picture with them, and just the love and admiration both ways. It was very special. So I'll always cherish that.
Yeah, that's incredible. I know I've seen pictures of him in his suit walking around the floor. And it's just so special to see him interacting with so many THON volunteers.
Yeah, he loved it. It was great.
He always lit up there.
Always.
Thank you guys so much for joining today. We appreciate hearing just all of the information you gave us so much. And we know the viewers on the podcast as well will appreciate just as much as well. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, our pleasure. Thank you so much for the invite.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. And thanks again for everything you do.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
we appreciate you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you for all of you doing, again, truly incredible opportunity to speak with you both today. Thank you, Stacia and Suzanne, for sharing your beautiful stories with us.
Your passion in conquering childhood cancer is such an inspiration to this community.
We want to thank you all for taking the time to tune in to the first episode of the THONcast. We hope we were able to give you more information about the history of THON and Four Diamonds.
We want to thank Jace Gibbons, Emery Kratchman, and the production team for all of their help and hard work on this project.
Be sure to tune in to the next episode of the THONcast to learn more about the behind the scenes of THON. As always, for the kids.